The Arizona Bird's Eye Views of C.J. Dyer. Colorful large bird's eye view lithographs were a popular form of wall art in 19th century American homes. Today they are studied by researchers and history enthusiasts as contemporary portrayals of urban life in the late 1800s. Thousands were made for cities in the United States, although less than 10 are known for locations in Arizona. Most of the Arizona views were drawn by artist and cartographer Czar James Dyer between 1884 and 1893. Dyer arrived in Prescott in 1884 after a failed prospecting venture and published this bird's eye view of the town shortly afterwards. As with all bird's eyes, this is a perspective drawing showing the layout and buildings of the town from above as envisioned by the artist. Balloons, scaffolds, or other means to gain elevation were not used to create bird's eye drawings. The view shows Prescott to be a prosperous territorial capital with clean streets, tidy public grounds, and, in the central square, a brick courthouse built only 6 years previously. Several of the small insets surrounding the main image were advertisements placed by local merchants. Dyer charged $1.25 for each copy of this bird's eye view and claimed to have made $900 profit on the sales of this print. A year later, after Dyer had moved to Phoenix and again needed income, he produced his well-known 1885 view. This is regarded as Dyer's best work and among the most attractive of the many that were produced in the Victorian era. His use of an oval frame and the distinctive color scheme sets this view apart from many of its contemporaries. The type of detail Dyer provides can be seen in these images of a man in Asian clothing holding a horse, the John Yours Truly Smith flour mill, and the Phoenix swimming baths, which were watered by the Salt River Valley Canal. According to Madison Loring, who grew up here in the 1880s, the baths were a good chance to swim as long as you didn't mind the company of occasional water snakes. Although Phoenix was only a mile wide in 1885, Dyer did not include the entire town in his view. He shortened the west side of town and concentrated on the more populated business areas between what is now 2nd Avenue and 7th Street. In the distance are the Phoenix Mountains and the newly completed Arizona Canal. Both the Prescott and Phoenix views were meant to appeal to residents wanting a detailed and beautiful print of their hometown. The completion of the Arizona Canal in 1885 opened many thousands of acres to agriculture, prompting civic leaders to promote the immigration of farmers to the area. Dyer worked on some of the promotions and soon began to modify the look of his bird's eyes to highlight more of the open land around urban Phoenix. His next 3 maps included much larger expanses of arable land as part of the overall effort to attract farm owners and laborers to the valley. Dyer's Bird's Eye of Tempe was published in 1888 as the centerpiece of a brochure printed for real estate agents Schultz and Franklin. In their text, the firm highlighted the advantages of farming on irrigated lands and the ability to grow just about anything in the Salt River Valley climate. Schultz and Franklin had been commissioned by the Tempe Land and Investment Company to sell over 700 acres near the business district and along the route of the newly constructed Maricopa and Phoenix Railroad. The best views of buildings in the business district can be seen in the advertising insets. The rich brown soil in the foreground of the main view dominates the image and highlights the fertility of an area that looks ready to be farmed. A large portion of these fields are now part of the Arizona State University campus. Only a single building can be found on the territorial Normal School's original tract of land. The valley grew rapidly in the late 1880s, prompting Dyer to publish a second bird's eye view of Phoenix in 1890. The city was increasing so fast that Dyer claimed he had to redraw several sections because new buildings were being built faster than he could add them to his drawing. In addition to the high elevation and large 40-inch wide format of the print, Dyer emphasized the amount of open land available for farming by limiting the urban area to the lower half of the lithograph. He drew the buildings on this view in a simpler fashion than he had in 1885, but the picture is still full of interesting depictions of life in 1890 Phoenix, including the tower at the city waterworks plant and the Maricopa and Phoenix Railroad passenger depot. Dyer's final bird's eye is the culmination of his views displaying an increasing percentage of farmland. This 1893 Salt River Valley depicts the entire 40-mile plus width of the basin from east to west and extends northward to Bill Williams Mountain west of Flagstaff. The towns in the valley, from Peoria in the northwest to Mesa in the southeast, appear only as indistinct brown blurs. Several water retention and irrigation projects from proposed to complete are shown. One of them is the current Lake Pleasant on the Agua Fria River, where Dyer worked in the mid-1890s. The proposed dam site at Frog Tanks in this view is today near the site of the new Waddell Dam, and the nearby lower dam is the new Dyer Diversion Dam, named after the artist. The township and range allocation system appears throughout the valley, and Dyer notes in his comments that the picture is a complete guide to locating ranches, land, and places of interest. With this bird's eye map in hand, potential immigrants could select and find the way to their new homes in the Salt River Valley.